Hello everyone at 5-9, it is your boy Taistra Daisetsu back again with another video for you guys, and this is a treat for me and all the rest of the awesome people here. But first, let's go ahead and get some introductions out of the way. First off, we got the man, the myth, the legend, the biggest whale, Nolar. How you doing, Nolar?
I'm good. Hey, man, this was a lot of fun. We'll get into a couple things here, but again, I'm really excited to review this, so here we go.
And then we got my boy here, all the way down from out of nowhere and into the driver's seat, Mr. Kensei. Kensei,
Yo,
how you doing?
what's going on, guys? I'm excited to review this because I have a lot of things to talk about for sure.
And then up next, we also have our boy here. He is definitely not Nick Lachey because he is one of the new kids on the block. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, even though I had to watch this movie 3 times, but I'm still alive, thank God.
Awesome, awesome. And then we don't have anybody who's bronze, silver, or gold, but we got strong Iron Kane. How you doing, Iron?
Hey man, I figured since I've watched a lot of movies, I have a history with movies, I should be here for this review.
All right. And just so you guys, before we start this review, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. Hit that notification bell for more stuff from 5-9 Gaming. But obviously, let's get to what we're talking about mainly. Today, we are talking about the Mortal Kombat movie. Guys, I can tell you right now, it has been a treat, at least on my end. Let's go ahead and start with, let's go Kensei. Kensei, what did you think about the movie so far? Or not so far, but overall.
Okay, the movie was pretty good, honestly. I love the intro where they introduced into like the clans, the Shiryu clan. Like pretty much they're like reviewing, like they're giving the idea of the history of the Shiryu versus the Lin Kuei, which is like Sub-Zero's clan pretty much. So in the original story of the Mortal Kombat, well, in the games, or you want to call those, pretty much the Shiryu and the Lin Kuei are pretty much rivals for clans, and it always happens where Sub-Zero comes in and kills like the Scorpions technically, like whole clan, and that was pretty cool that they have a little Master Hasashi there, just looking at his clans, and just they're all dead, and his child and his wife just dead there. And what got me was surprised is that I'm not really like, this is like new to me, like there was like no child left behind at all in the Shiryu, like if I remember playing the games. So it's always like Scorpion always coming back for revenge, but it's actually really interesting that they have a descendant of the Shiryu clan. And I was intrigued because I was like, because the main character Cole, he kind of reminds me of like Takeda from Mortal Kombat X, because if you ever played that one, I think Takeda was like one of the I think like descendants as well as the Shiryu. So he kind of reminded me of him, but at first Cole reminded me of like Johnny Cage, but then I was like, oh, never mind, because now I remember Takeda was actually one of the descendants in the video game, so he kind of reminded me of that character.
Right. So what's really cool is that with our boys here that made the movie for Mortal Kombat, they actually released the first 8 minutes. So for most people, that might be somewhat of a spoiler, but from here, guys, I'm telling you right now, we are going into full spoilers. This video is going to be nothing but spoils. So if you don't want to be spoiled for the rest of the movie, please make sure to go ahead and watch the movie first, then come back to this video. So from there is, since you're the new kid, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. What did you think about the movie so far? What did you think of the movie overall?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. Did not like it at all. Yeah. So here's the thing. Being like, like I've played the games. I know a fair substantial amount of the lore and everything going on, and just everything that they did was just, I did not feel right. Like it just didn't feel right to me. With the Shiryu and the Lin Kuei, that whole bit felt right. It was true to like the whole entire thing, how Bihan, who is Sub-Zero, goes out, kills basically all the shit out of you, and then murders Scorpion, who is Hanzo Hasashi, and them having the fight felt right, but then from that point on they did their own thing, and it just did not feel right for me at all. Like it's just it kind of left like I'm gonna say like I don't know how to like properly say it without trying to be too mean about it, but it's just like left a really bad taste in my mouth. And me being watching the movie 3 times, like it just putting myself through that torture, I really just did not like it. To be completely fair with you.
Yeah, and so as somebody who knows a little bit of the lore too, I can see your point on that because it is a very different take, especially since Hanzo Hasashi didn't have a second child, and really, if you go by the video game lore from when we went into Mortal Kombat X, as Kensei was talking about with Takeda, he was more of an adopted son. He wasn't actually a full blown son.
Yeah.
What about you, Iron King? What do you think about it?
Well, as somebody that's watched many movies and played like 2 Mortal Kombat games, honestly, the beginning portion of the movie was kind of like whatever for me. I didn't really care too much. But as soon as Kano was in the movie, he was hilarious. I laughed at like every one-liner he had. I really, really enjoyed him. And then once they started getting their powers, that's when I was pretty much on board. And then I really, really enjoyed the movie. But before Kano showed up, and it was just the main character Cole just fighting, it was kind of like whatever. But I like the movie. I did like the movie. I think they did say the lines. It was nice, like hearing like "Get over here" and "Fatality." A little cheesy, but it was nice, like homages to the original games. But yeah, I thought it was dope. I like the scene in the movie personally.
Yeah, definitely a fun one overall. Beginning a little bit slow, for sure, but I felt as though like afterwards myself, it kind of progressed. What about you, Nolar? What'd you think?
I'm in between. I'm kind of I absolutely see what Iz is saying here because the beginning was great, good opening scenes, and then like they try to loosely thread and connect the first like 8-9 minutes of the movie with the rest of the story, and like they kind of got it there, but they suspended my disbelief. Like they tore that down early on, where I was just like, it's kind of loose. So to me, I see where Iz is saying is like. There's not really coherency to it. They're trying to make it seem like it's all together, but it's really not. The fights were great. It's a Mortal Kombat movie. I was not expecting Shakespeare or some great drama, but and of course, like the one-liners were there. If because you're a Mortal Kombat fan and you see that, you're like, yeah, that's cool. But if you weren't a Mortal Kombat fan, you'd be like, what the hell is that, right? So. Overall, I enjoyed the movie. It was fun to watch. It was entertaining, but would I watch it again or 3 times like Iz did? Probably not. So,
all right, and then with that, let's go ahead and talk about the actual storyline. Continuing off from what Kensei was talking about with the fight between Bihan and Hanzo Hasashi. Hanzo Hasashi being defeated, Raiden beaming down from the heavens, finding baby Cole. Or as we come to know him later on, when we catch up with the story, Cole is actually getting ready for a cage fight. It looks like he was actually a former champion in MMA of some sort, and was getting ready for the night's festivities with his wife and his child. His child actually being the corner person for his fight, which is kind of odd because, again, we had the wife that didn't want to watch the fights, but the daughter is absolutely into it. Now, the weird thing about it for me, and I don't know if it felt weird to you guys for a moment, like, we see that the kids are not, like, older, but they're definitely, like, I would say 10, 11. It was just weird to see that it looked more like a big brother, little sister, and then later on you find out they're the kid and the child, or the kid and the mother. So it was a weird, like, trying to catch what they were trying to do there. During his fight, Jackson Briggs comes in, is watching the fight, and ultimately Cole loses to his opponent. I can't remember the guy's name that he was fighting. I think it was Eddie. But later, or just after the fight, he is sitting with his daughter and nursing his wounds in the sense. Jackson Briggs comes in, and he's talking to Cole a little bit about the dragon marking that he has, and Cole shows it on his upper right pec, later confirming that Jackson Briggs is actually looking for those specific fighters, champions of Earthrealm. We then go to a diner where Cole, his wife, and his daughter are all eating or getting ready to eat ice cream, and lo and behold, it starts to snow. Snowing at a random time of the year, and everyone's all confused until they see that the table's starting to crystallize, and out comes Sub-Zero, which was actually a pretty cool effect. I thought that the CG was very, very good. What did you guys think about it?
So CG for me was really good actually. I enjoyed, just to extrapolate from here, like the snowing effect, the icicles, and that stuff was really cool. Towards the end when we get to like the flame dragon thing that Liu Kang did, that was fantastically done. So this isn't the OG 1995 CGI or the Mortal Kombat Legacy CGI, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, it was definitely top tier CGI this time around. So during that time, Jackson Briggs, or we're just gonna shorten it, easy peasy lemon squeezy, Jax comes in with his SUV of wonders to save Cole and his family, saying get in the car. They're driving for a little bit. Jax actually shows that he also has a dragon marking, saying that he is a champion of Earthrealm. During which he is trying to turn into an alleyway, and lo and behold, Sub-Zero is there to stop him. Jax then tells them to take the car and leave. He will deal with Sub-Zero, where there is an actual fight scene after Jax chases Sub-Zero into I'm guessing it was a warehouse, from what I could see. Now,
Yeah, it was.
This fight scene wasn't the most amazing when it comes to like one-on-one combat, but what ended up happening was Jax, Sub-Zero, and they're fighting. Sub-Zero obviously has the upper hand. Sub-Zero then does a bunch of stuff to his arms, and then lo and behold, freezes his arms and shatters them. What did you guys think about this? Because this one I was like, oh crap, actually seeing the full scene of it.
To be completely honest, again, knowing the lore, it I understand what they're going with. Like I completely understand like how like they were going with the movie, and like in like lore perspective, just dropping a little knowledge on you guys. In like lore perspective, it was actually Ermac that ultimately destroyed Jax's arms in the fight, and therefore and then how Jax gets his like 2 metal arms, he comes up fighting again. But making it Sub-Zero, it kind of fits because they like they made Sub-Zero as like one of like the big bad guys throughout the movie, so having to try to fit that lore into perspective, like looking at that, I can understand, I can see it, I can understand it, but again, it felt a little off to me. But again, from a person who does not know the lore, who does not follow Mortal Kombat at all, and I can understand why they chose to go that route.
Right, exactly. It's definitely one of those things where if you know more about the lore of Mortal Kombat from the games and all that, it is a very different route that they went with. But I dug it a lot because it was like, originally it was Ermac that, tore off Jax's arms. But making it Sub-Zero and giving him more reason to be the villain, and later on we'll kind of talk about speculation for the next movie as well. But it made a lot of sense to make it Bihan Sub-Zero. From there, basically, Cole and his family go to their residence, and Cole is like, "Oh, I gotta do this. It's my destiny." And he leaves his wife and child at their home, searching for Sonya Blade, which Jax had directed him to exactly where Sonya Blade was. We go to what looks to be Outworld, or was that around the time when we got introduced to Outworld? It's
more or
either
less.
that-
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when we saw Shao Kahn. We got, I think it was a glimpse of Melina a little bit.
Yep.
We got a glimpse of Melina. And then we also got to see more of Sub-Zero as well, followed by Cabal and Nitara, which was a very, very odd choice. I was actually very surprised that they added Nitara into the movie. So, and they're talking about how they're gonna, screw the rules. They're gonna do what they want to do. They're trying to take over Earthrealm because of the fact that they won 9 out of the 10 tournaments, and they want to make sure that on the 10th one they have no opposition. So they're going and assassinating anybody with the Earthrealm Champions marking. From there, we go to Cole going to this kind of wreck yard where it's just a bunch of, random stuff, trash everywhere. And he climbs the fence in a very decently looking jump to roll. And he gets into a fight with Sonya Blade. Sonya Blade asks to show the dragon marking, and Cole shows her, saying that he was sent here by Jax. And then we get taken to her base of operations, where she starts to explain what Mortal Kombat is, with Cole being in disbelief. And then we hear a very awesome voice coming through, and it's one of our favorite Australians in Mortal Kombat, Kano, who is actually chained up by Sonya Blade. What did you guys think about this development? Because I don't think there's ever been a time when Sonya's actually captured Kano, so this was very odd for me.
If I remember correctly, in the game lore, like she know about Kano, but like he always been on the run, so she had a hard time just capturing Kano. But on this actually got, it's actually kind of weird, because me knowing the actual lore from the video games, I was like, huh, interesting. She captured Kano, and I was like, well, and then what's the go say again? I always thought that he had like his laser eye, but I was like, okay, well he might get it later on. So it was just pretty odd to me, honestly. I was like, I don't like that where Sonya, captures Kano. I like the idea of like just being on the run most of the time. And throughout the movie, it felt like I kind of felt like Kano was gonna be like one of the good guys, but I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I don't think so, because he's Kano.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I actually, going off of what Ken say with Kano, the what I do love that the movie did, what I did love what the movie did is still like keep Kano and just like his wittiness and just like his like constant banter, like just him being like a total like bad guy, and just like being a total jerk, and just like him like just saying like all the stuff like not caring like that. I actually it fairly enjoyed Kano like throughout the movie. The actor that played Kano actually portrayed him very well, and I did fairly enjoy like whenever Kano was on, whenever he was on screen, and he did this the usual like one line banter and stuff like that. I kind of chuckled every time he kind of did that. So Kano itself, he was actually pretty good.
I definitely would say that this guy was almost meant to play Kano, like exactly, because he did a very, very good job with the character. From there, we get to see one of the first things that I thought was like really, really cool, but also you could kind of see a little weirdness to it, in my personal opinion. We actually got to see Reptile first. He was invisible, trying to kill Earthrealm's champions in Kano and Cole. But then, with the acid that he spit out, Kano was able to be freed. Him, Sonya, and Cole tag teamed Reptile, with Kano actually ripping the heart out of Reptile. And that was a really, really cool scene. I didn't expect to see something like that. And that was the first time during this movie, like, the arms thing with Jax, I felt was, something where I'm like, okay, they could kind of get away with that. But this, I was like, oh my god, this is Mortal Kombat. So, what did you guys think about Reptile being represented in this?
Reptile.
Infinitely better than the OG MK 1995.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure.
I will agree with Nolar on that one. Yeah.
Very true on
I'm
that.
just more used to his human form, his the ninja form. Like I'm used to that, so I was like, oh, cool, neat. But like I do think maybe in the next movie, hopefully we do get like a ninja form of Reptile, because that'd be dope.
Yeah, no, this form was infinitely better for sure. But I also love the tongue thing that he did, like almost a callback to one of his old fatalities where he's used his tongue to rip the head off of somebody, but he didn't get the chance to do that because Kano got out of it. What do you think, Iron? What do you think of Reptile?
Dude, honestly, I had no idea that was even a character until you guys mentioned it. I thought like, oh, they just sent some lizard. That's kind of cool. The heart got pulled out. That was kind of sick. Yeah, because it wasn't like a recognizable character to me. Like I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I don't know. Kano showed up. He cursed. It made me chuckle. I love that dude. I just want him on. Dude, I love a Kano show. Just like make a spinoff. Just Kano, the Kano show. I loved it.
Just
it was
Kano.
awesome. It was awesome, man. But yeah, no, that was really sick when they destroyed the lizard.
Yeah, it was definitely fun to see the lizard's heart be ripped out. Um,
But before we continue on, what I actually loved about like that whole after that whole entire fight is where Kano actually like drew himself like ripping out the lizard's heart, and then him showing it to Cole, and then Cole was just like, "You're so messed up," and he goes like, "Hey man, artists have messed up minds."
That's true.
that was actually a very funny scene too. Kano, the guy with Kano's lines was like the star of the show of this. Definitely, he played the character so well. From there, they're basically chit-chatting like, you know, is said, where Kano actually drew him yanking the heart out of Reptile, and they are trying to come up with a game plan to get to Raiden's temple. They don't know where to go except for Kano, who knows exactly where to go, and Sonya uses a fake bribe of 2 million, or in which case Kano up the ante with 3 million, to be taken over to Raiden's temple. And then from there, they're in this airplane. They skydive out of it to get to what looks to be a desert, and then they're walking across the desert trying to find where to go. We have a little mini scuffle between Sonya and Kano, which shows that Sonya obviously knows what she's doing when it comes to fighting, even though she does not have that dragon marking of Earthrealm. As they're walking, they run into the Earthrealm future champion, Liu Kang, right in the desert, which was a very, like, I will say, like, the actor looked the part, but I felt, for me personally, the actor playing Liu Kang, I felt like the acting was a little off with him. What did you guys think about that? Maybe I'm just the crazy one.
No, I completely agree with you on that one. Because like, throughout the games, like Liu Kang is just like this stoic person. Like he's all about honor. He's all about trying to help others, and it's just it's probably kind of hard to fully replicate that. And the actor that portrayed Liu Kang, he did his best, but honestly, it just didn't necessarily feel like the Liu Kang like we all know and love throughout the games. And it's fine. Like I'm not like a whole entire gripe about that, because you win some, you lose some. You try your best, and even though like he couldn't like get that full personality, he at least had some aspects and some traits in there. So I think he was okay. It's just like you said, Taisha, it kind of left a little just like for me.
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna be. He facially looks like Liu Kang to me. Like he pulled that off, but like he seems a lot smaller, and that must be because I'm just so nostalgic for Robin's show from the 1995.
Yeah.
Like he is Liu Kang to me, right? So when I put him side by side, I'm like, yeah, that's this guy here. He's not. This isn't it. We'll say though he did his best, and I'm not gonna like fault him on it. And that's Ludi Lin, I think, right? That plays Liu Kang. So like I like him in a bunch of other stuff, like in the Power Rangers series and part of Aquaman. Like I liked him there, but here he just wasn't the right fit for me. But again, that could be just me and my nostalgia glasses like fogging the way I'm viewing it, right? So that's my end.
That's kind of how I felt too, is that I was comparing him during the film too much to the 90s Mortal Kombat Liu Kang. And I feel like it's a little unfair, but at the same time, like his stoicness was very different than how I envisioned like Liu Kang in general, compared to the games, the previous movies, and every aspect of it. So, but I'm glad that there wasn't, at least I wasn't the only one who thought that for a moment. So from there, he actually shows off his powers, or as we come to find out that they call them Arcana in this one. And of course, Liu Kang has inherited fire as his Arcana. And he shows off to Kano, and Kano's like, wait, we're going to get superpowers? I'm in. Like, that's the only reason why he wants in, is because he wants superpowers. So Liu Kang takes all of them to Raiden's temple, talking about how Raiden's temple used to be a place of worship, and now is a, like, almost a training ground / hideout for the champions of Earthrealm. As they go through the, I would say, catacombs of this place, they get taken to an area where they see almost like stained glass paintings of stuff that's kind of inspired to, or that Mortal Kombat was inspired off of, and how the tournament became a thing. And they go to continue, and Cole notices a very peculiar stained glass thing, which was Sub-Zero and Scorpion fighting, or in which case back then, Bihan and Hanzo Asashi, and showing that Bihan had killed Hanzo. Uh, it's not really explained to him at that time, but he feels a certain connection with it, and we'll go into more detail obviously later. He said throughout the movie as well, and I forgot to mention this, he is having Cole himself is having visions of Hanzo Asashi, but he doesn't know who he is. He thinks it's some random dude being played in his mind. From there, Liu Kang is trying to explain to the fighters of Earthrealm, or champions, and Sonya, that they need to train here to learn their arcana and actually master it before the tournament. From there, Liu Kang is actually taking them through somewhere, and Sonya sees Jax has been recovered by the people of the Shrine of Raiden. And as you guys saw, he looked worse for wear, obviously. His arm's completely gone, and they're trying to explain to Sonya that they're trying to find a way to help him and restore him, and to give them time. I thought this was a little added human drama, and honestly, for this, because of what we were talking about with Sub-Zero being the one to rip his arms off, I thought it was a very nice choice to kind of show what they were trying to do with him here. But what did you guys think about that?
I mean, I liked it. It was like, Sonya just being besides Jack, just trying to say like everything's calm and everything, that they're gonna be all right. And I don't remember correctly. I know in the original lore where where Ermac destroys Jax's arms, and then he later on they go into like I forgot in the old lore where I know Jax and Sonya, they go into like this little laboratory thing, and then they like make like Jax's arms, which that will be later on. Which actually one of the monks actually, well, it was weird that the monks had this technology where they can actually make these like robotic arms, because I thought that they were gonna go like somewhere like a laboratory or something and make Jax's arms, but I was like, that's a little weird, and it didn't really fit to me correctly.
Yeah, I can completely. So yeah, what Alpha Kenzo was saying. So in lore perspective, when Jax loses his arms, him and Sony actually go to a military funded based laboratory, and where they're like, oh, Jax, is one of the highest ranking, military officers that's out there, and he's like one of the best of the best. So they're just like, we need his arms, like we need this guy back on the field, we need this guy in tip top shape. And so they're like, all right, we gotta give him like these new robotic arms for him to like be able to fight again, and to be able to like do his work. And having the monks be there, it's like, oh, we'll try to like save him, when instead of just having the military help him out, it just felt weird. But again, like I can understand like them like trying to help him, and like them like saying like, oh, he's like one of the warriors that we need to fight. So I can understand it. And then Sonya being like very like sad to see her best friend essentially just like lying there, and she can't do anything. Like she felt helpless. Like I could like, that's something I can understand, where they just wanted to add like a little bit of drama and a little bit more to Sonya's backstory.
So from there, Raiden's over there explaining exactly what they need to do. A little while later, we see Liu Kang actually kind of, sitting by himself, meditating, when all of a sudden he feels a breeze and his fire goes out. And right there, Sub-Zero is actually at the shrine for Earthrealm. And he goes and attacks Liu Kang. Very one-sided, is about to kill him after he constructs a blade into his hand, when all of a sudden we see a very familiar flying hat, and lo and behold, the appearance of the mighty Kung Lao. Kung Lao and Liu Kang actually stand back to back, about to face off with Bihan, when we see the entrance of Shang Tsung and Melina, which is a very cool scene. That you see them walking down the corridor, Liu Kang and Kung Lao are getting ready to fight, and then Bihan's obviously right there, and then you see the entrance of Raiden. I thought the stare down was really cool, and I know that it's not, in particular, like, lore based from the original movies, but kind of taking yourself out of the lore standpoint, especially for me, which is hard in of itself. I thought the stare down and the assembly of characters was almost perfect. Like, you see Shang Tsung, who is, all powerful. You see Bihan, who throughout the movie has been a crazy, crazy badass of a character. You see Melina, which we don't get to see a lot of what we want to see, but we get to see a lot more later. And then you see on the other side Raiden, Liu Kang, and of course now Kung Lao, which again, that entrance was insane. What did you guys think about the stare down in particular?
The stare down in particular wasn't bad. It was to just to to get the viewers who don't know much, again, to get them hyped up. Just like seeing these two like basically pillars. Shang Tsung is like the pillar for Outworld. Like he is like one of their top guys, and Raiden, who is the god of Earth, when I'm trying to protect it, having them like stare each other down, like just like basically these two powerhouses just looking at each other. You're just like, oh, something's about to go down. It's either going to end very bad or hopefully something will happen. Again, something does happen, which ultimately that stare down is like cut short. But again, just having those two just like stare each other down did give me a little bit of chills, because again, they don't like each other at all. Like Shang Tsung, Raiden, they're always at each other's throats, and it just felt it felt really perfect for that type of moment to have in the movie.
All right. And then from there, we see that Raiden puts up a force field so that the people of Outworld can't actually get to them. It's a very protective barrier. And then obviously they leave to strategize. Shang Tsung, Bihan, and Melina. From there, Kung Lao, Liu Kang, Cole, and Kano and Sonya all go to this training pit. Kung Lao instructs to Sonya that she cannot participate because she does not have the mark of the champion. While that's going on, she goes to go check on Jax. And Jax's arm transformation is starting to go into full swing. We see a little bit of it kind of in action, where he's looking at his hands and you see kind of the metal construct, which I thought they did really well with the construction of it. Obviously, you look at Jax's build and you look at those arms and it doesn't make sense, but that comes later on in the movie. From there, we see Cole and Kung Lao kind of training. Cole is trying to master, or actually get his Arcana, and then Kung Lao gets the best of him, obviously, showing that he still has a lot to learn. From there, we see Liu Kang taking on Kano with Kano. I thought this scene was absolutely funny. You see Kano get tripped up not once, not twice, but 3 times. After the 3rd time, when Liu Kang faints, Kano jumps, and then as soon as he lands, Liu Kang sweeps him again. I thought that was hilarious. I don't know what it was, but it was so funny.
It's just Kano's the comedic relief, right? He's got the one-liners and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, it works well, and they really play on it. Which I mean, for most of you guys, you really enjoyed it, and I did too. But to me, sometimes it got a little much. But yeah, it definitely played on the comedic relief there.
For me, I really liked
Right.
it because, like, when I play Mortal Kombat, I like to spam moves because I'm really good at the game, and I kind of I related to that.
And then from there, we kind of go into a scene where Liu Kang is talking to Cole about how he got his Arcana, where he, from my understanding, was somebody who is not looked very bright upon in society. Don't know what we can get away with here, so I'm gonna keep it very vague. I would say watch the movie and find out more about that. But he ended up killing him because he had the dragon symbol on his body. So Liu Kang ended up inheriting that through that, and that's when we find out that killing somebody or defeating them in combat, you get that sigil on your body. The only difference is Cole is the only one born with the sigil on his body as a birthmark. So that's a very fun little tidbit that we found out about the history with that. And it goes back into training with Cole, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Kano, and then from there it goes to another scene with Sonya and Jax, Jack's trying to punch a bag with his new arms, and obviously you could tell he's not feeling it. He doesn't feel himself. Sonya's trying to help him out, and then he finally gives up and sits down, and they have a pep talk. What did you guys think about how he did with the arms in general? I thought to me, it was a more powerful scene, seeing him trying to get over with his arms.
I actually liked it a lot, actually, because in the actual lore, I remember correctly, I think it was like the new game. I remember correctly, Jax didn't like his arms because he always blamed his arms for like not being in the military or something. Because I rarely played like the new one, because I remember he had like, you know, a child, and like his mom, like his wife left him, all kind of stuff. So it's a bit different from the from this one. I did like in how like he didn't really complain about his arms. He was just like struggling like to get like his arm to work. And then out like a few like scenes over until like the big fight, it felt weird to me, because I was like, oh, interesting. So that's power. So I actually like that a little bit, but it felt weird to me. It did feel just a little weird.
I was just gonna say, as someone that's like not too into the lore or just not aware, I thought it was cool. Just like he earned his arms in a sense, because when I first saw him, like, oh, his arms look like that's it, like that's the boy Jax right there. But yeah, he tried to pick up the rock, could not, and he's like, you know, he grunted really hard, you know, tried all his might, and then his arms grew big, man. And I wish that could happen to me as well. I'm still waiting on that, but I thought that was really cool. He earned his arms in a sense with the Arcana stuff instead of just getting them from the get-go. So I thought it was kind of cool.
That's a good earned moment, like what Iron's saying, and that makes it feel good. Again, it's not like tied to the lore exactly as is in the video games, but you got to remember, movies are a different medium than video games or books or whatever, so they have to adapt it or try to make some changes. Some of them work, some of them don't, but that's kind of up to people. But yeah, I personally think that was like a good moment to wrap things up, where yeah, he earned it. He went from small little scrawny to huge, like Jax that we know him as, and that's what makes it great for me.
Exactly, especially with having an original character in Cole. This is definitely not going to follow the lore like entirely.
Yep.
But from there, it goes to a table scene, which is actually a very pretty cool moment and a funny moment again, because I thought this movie had a lot more funny moments than I thought it would. They're at the table. It's Kung Lao, Liu Kang, Kano, Sonya, Jax, and Cole. And Kung Lao is just laying into Kano about how stupid, dumb, and how useless he is. And then from there, Liu Kang is telling him that you should bow down at Kung Lao's feet, and Kano is getting more and more frustrated. You see he's getting angrier and angrier, and then you see his eye light up, and boom, the laser comes out, with Kung Lao barely able to get his hat so that he could deflect the laser. And I thought that was so cool. It was like, you see different ways that these people get their arcana, and it's all based on, from what I could tell, obviously emotions and connections. And obviously Kano's emotion is hatred and anger. So it was really cool to see that, how they were trying to poke and prod him into getting his arcana. So what did you guys think about that as a story point?
It actually fit Kano really well, because like because the thing is, like, they've been at it for like hours trying to like get, like, you know, Kano and Cole to unlock their inner arcana. And, you know, Kung Lao, being the strategic man that he is, like, he's like sitting there thinking, it's like, what is one way that we can, you know, bring out, you know, their arcana? And then he starts to realize that Kano is this arrogant guy, and he doesn't like when people talk down to him. So he's like thinking, all right, let me get this man so mad that possibly, maybe this could be something that'll unlock his arcana. And which Kung Lao actually starts to realize, like, he starts to feel he like you don't really see it much, but like you see that, like, in his like the way he starts moving, he's like starting to realize that, like, the air like around him is starting to feel weird, and he's like, wait a second, I know this feeling. This is going to turn out to be, you know, Kano unlocking his arcana, which, you know, lo and behold, he actually did. So, you know, Kung Lao was actually, like, from the get-go of that scene, he was still thinking, still like strategizing, and then once he found that little kick, that little shove that he needed, he was like, all right, let me roll with this, and he did. And Kano unlocking his Arcana, which is the one laser beam in his right eye, which again in Kano fashion, after realizing what he did, he starts, gallivanting like a little child. It's like, I did it, I have the power, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, again, I'm trying to like stay away from lore perspective, but like, it is kind of funny on how it happened.
Right. And then from there, it kind of goes into another training session where they literally, Liu Kang and Kung Lao have Kano beat up on Cole to try and get him to get his Arcana, which of course fails. And then from there, Cole is seen talking to Raiden and Sonya later on, and Raiden is saying, look, you're not ready for this. You're not my champion. You're not getting it. So I'm going to send you home with your family. But that's just after he explains to Cole, where Cole is from. Like, he finally tells him that you were a part of the Shirai Ryu bloodline. You were rescued as a child or your mother was rescued as a child when your mother's father, Hanzo Asashi, was killed. And kind of goes into that and sends Cole home to his family. The start of a redemption story in that sense. And then we cut to... Oh,
sorry. Yeah, sorry, Taisho. Just to clear things up. It's actually not Cole's mother that was in there. It was if I'm not mistaken, it was actually his ancestor that was brought in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because when Bihan and Hanzo Sashi fought, they fought
The
in
1600s.
the 1600s. They fought in the
Okay.
1600s. So this was his ancestor that Raiden found and brought to the temple. It wasn't Cole's mother. It was just his ancestor.
Yeah, my bad on that. My bad. Like, I missed that a little bit, and I probably shouldn't have, because it didn't make any sense after I said it. I was like, wait. But that's why we're all here, to at least correct us on each thing. I'm happy about that.
Especially me.
Otherwise, I would have missed that. But we cut to a scene in Outworld where Shang Tsung again is talking to his people, and we see another addition, Raiko, which was a very, very another peculiar choice, because again we talked about Tatara, but Raiko was here, and it wasn't the Raiko that I was used to seeing as a kid, especially from Mortal Kombat Gold and Mortal Kombat Armageddon.
Yep.
What'd you guys think of Raiko?
I did not like his design, because if you haven't played Mortal Kombat 4 in Gold, he's completely different. Like, he's very, very different. And I was like, what, Raiko? I'm like, what? Like, what's he doing there? I was like, that's not actually him. So I did not like that design at all. It was actually pretty weird.
What I do find funny, and this is something I don't know if a lot of people caught on, but Raiko is apparently, from the lore itself, is basically somebody who wants to become Khan.
Yeah,
or
pretty much.
in which case, Shao Kahn. So it's funny because in this scene, and from then on, you see him with a hammer. And it was a very nice nod to Shao Kahn, in my opinion, when it came to that. So... they talk about what they're going to do, and then from there, you see that Goro, someone makes an entrance, but you only see kind of the shadow. And then we fast forward into another scene where Kano is actually talking to Cabal. Cabal is actually on the other side of the force field talking to Kano, and Cabal is actually representing Outworld. He basically bribes Kano after he calls him a multitude of names. And says, you're fighting for the wrong side. We could double of the double amount of what you're getting. So obviously Kano is about money. So as soon as he hears that, he's more than willing to take care of business with Cabal again. And then fast forward, we get to Cole with his wife and his child. And of course, this is when, the takeover starts to happen. You see Kano shoot his eye laser at the dragon statue, which lets the team of Shang Tsung, Cabal, Raiko, Melina, and Bihan in, alongside with Kano now defecting to Outworld. Obviously, we thought that this would, or at least for me, I thought that Kano was going to turn anyway. What did you guys think?
I expected Kano to actually betray them all because I was like, this seems too good for Kano just to be like the good guy. I was like, I don't think so because if you haven't, played the games, he's always been the bad guy. So I was like, yeah, this guy is going to, betray them and actually, turn into the one they act like his actual role being a bad guy. So I was like, all right, well, that's gonna be, that makes sense. So other than that, that was pretty cool. That he was, he got his power now, so he's basically, he's going to pretty much betray those guys, and fight them for sure. Because you know what, he wants a casino. If I'm correctly, that what Cabal told him. So he wants money pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, basically, they kind of laid out his motivation in the beginning when Sonya was like, "Hey, you would take us to the Raiden Temple, 2 million." He's like, "Oh, I'll do it for 3." So he's already motivated by money. So once Cabal came out and was like, "Hey, well, take the money you want, double it and double it again, and that's what you're gonna get." You already knew that like he wasn't there for the good guy stuff. What the misdirection was, like at the table you said where he got his Arcana, it felt like he was gelling with the group, you know what I mean, and he would be a good guy. But then I was like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, no. This is like a misdirection. There's something down the line he's gonna betray them, and clearly it's like, well, take the money, double again, and that's what you're gonna get, and that's what happens. So I mean, it really, it's a good writing sense and story wise to do that. So I think that was well done.
Definitely, I would have to agree with that, especially since it's like, why are they painting Kano to be such a good guy right now? And then boom.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then it cuts back to Cole fighting Goro, which the Goro design I thought looked great, and it looks fantastic. What about you guys? What did you guys think about Goro himself?
Honestly, it was a good design. I there's not really much you can do like with just like a regular actor to do a giant 4-man like giant destroying house. With the CGI they did, they actually did like fairly well with it. So I don't have really complaints with Goro there.
He's better than the animatronic looking one from the 95 version. Cause that one looks, I mean, it looks realistic, but just it's so wonky because they had like 16 people like working the animatronic. Here it looks good. I think the design was good, so I was pretty happy with that.
Very true. Yeah, I was very happy about it as well. It looked really nice for sure. Basically Cole gets his butt kicked, the barn collapses on top of them. Then we cut to Sonya fighting Melina, and so we get our first real look at Melina as a fighter. And basically Melina stabs Sonya in the shoulder, twists it a little bit, and then we kind of get to see the teeth a little bit here, but it's almost like a teaser. It's like it's getting you ready for it. So you could kind of see what's going to happen with Melina. Melina says, after licking the blood of Sonya, "You are not a champion. You are not or your death is worthless to me." So she leaves Sonya there. And then Kano's like, "Oh, but it's not worthless to me," and freaking tosses Sonya after a little bit of fighting over the edge, and basically cuts the hand of one of the statues, and it falls on Sonya, where Jax is also laying because he got, his butt kicked by Raiko. Then we also get to see a little bit of Liu Kang versus Cabal, Cabal being Speedy Boy, Liu Kang having a hard time keeping up, and then we get to see the almighty Kung Lao trying to go against Shang Tsung, and then Shang Tsung's like, "Nah, you ain't gonna touch me with that blade," and then he tries to send Natara. And then, oh my gosh, sorry. You know what's coming. This gets to the point to where Kung Lao starts to meditate because he can't hear where Natara is coming from. Natara tries to come and get him from behind, and Kung Lao basically dodges, gets on her back as she's flying, and then takes her down, and then puts his hat on, or before he takes her down, puts his hat in the spinning formation that we're all so familiar with. And we get to see one of Kung Lao's fatalities here, where he brings Natara down. She's too fast for her own good, and she falls into a spinning blade on the ground, cutting her in half.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What did you guys think about this?
Let me get into it real quick. The funniest part about this whole thing was like I think a couple scenes before this, Shang Tsung kept referring to her as his beauty, and then she gets immediately bodied by Kung Lao, and then him saying flawless victory just made it funny as all hell.
Oh,
I
yeah.
couldn't stop laughing.
I love the animation myself because
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Oh my! I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
Again, it's rated R, but you don't expect
Yeah.
watching somebody get cut in half, and you see what's inside of her for that brief
I
moment.
was
It's
like,
oh.
so Kun Lao. I expected for him like just like to have it like his hat and just like spin around and cut the head off, but I did not expect that to happen. But like, yeah, it's actually one like resembles one of his fatalities in like the Mortal Kombat 11, which was also really gruesome. So that was a really cool way, like in how it animated, and it was really cool, and I loved it.
Yeah, it like just like Kung Lao is just like doing that, you know, his because you know from the games, I'm a big Kung Lao and actual Cabal player. Like whenever I play the games, I would always either choose Kung Lao or Cabal. So seeing Kung Lao do like his little spinning hat motion, just the fatality and stuff like that it was honestly perfect for me. As a person who does play Kung Lao, and just like how like they portray him, how he portrayed him, and doing the fatality. The only thing I was really sad about is the fact of they introduced Natara for 1 minute, and then the next minute she's dead.
Yeah.
That's what that's so I was just like, come on, guys. You could have given her like a little bit more screen time. No, just kill her off within like 2 minutes of her introduction. No, okay, cool.
I remember Natara is actually one of the characters that they introduced in one of the video games. It was called Deadly Alliance, if I remember correctly. So she's a vampire, if you've seen like the movie already, but like if you know about the video game, she's a vampire, and I don't know too much of her story, but that's how I remember her from her first appearance is one of the video games. So like I was like, okay, well, all right then.
Yeah, she was a very minor character. But it I do agree with this. It does suck that we got only a little bit of Natara. As much as I love the fact that Natara was in it, though, I kind of knew it was going to be a fodder piece a little bit, which is unfortunate because Natara had a lot of potential in general. We cut back to Goro versus Cole, and Goro is absolutely destroying Cole to the point to where he's about to basically kill off Cole when Cole's wife says, F this, I'm not letting him do that, and grabs an axe and kind of chops him in where I would believe Goro's kidney would be. And then that only upsets Goro, obviously, because Goro's a massive beast. Cole's wife and child get into the truck, and then they're trying to run Goro over, which obviously is futile. He starts smashing up the car, and Cole is starting to, feel himself change, and he finally gets his Arcana, which is armor, which was very weird because, as explained in the beginning of the movie with what I could only assume was the director of the fighting operations for the MMA thing that he was doing, said that he has no defense. So it's very funny that he got kind of a defensive-esque type of Arcana. What did you guys think about it?
Oh, the armor, it kind of actually reminded me of like the character Takeda's armor from the Mortal Kombat X. And I was like, so he's basically Takeda if he was actually one of the descendants of the Shiryu, because Takeda is actually the adopted. His actual father in the video game, Takeda's father is actually what's his name again? I forgot what his name is. I can't remember his name right now, but that
Kenshi.
I think it's like Kenshi's like that. Kenshi.
Yeah, it is Kenshi.
Yeah, Kenshi. There you go. So that armor, it kind of remind me of his armor that he uses in the video game. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I think they probably referenced that from that character, like having that armor, and that was pretty dope. So I actually like that armor. It was a little weird. I thought like he was gonna have like whips or something like that. So I'm like, oh, cool. That'd be dope if he had like whips because he's pretty much the descendant of the Shiryu. So I thought he would have like the whips, like so he can use the spear. But apparently he had like some different weapon. I was like, oh, well, that's different.
Okay. my thing with his Arcana, it wasn't deserved. Like it just didn't, and it didn't make any sense to me. That's the problem. Like Kano, it makes sense how he got his. With Jax, same thing, right? Like he had a motivation, he got it. Here, it's like he needs to defend his family. There wasn't enough fleshing out of the backstory. Like they could have used a scene earlier to explain like how family's important to him, blah 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 blah, and then okay, that would be the motivation that would click, but it just doesn't make sense. And then the Arcana itself is kind of like Aquaman's armor with Black Panther's armor ability of like absorbing kinetics, and then he has police batons. Like what?
Yeah,
Yeah. I felt too.
that's how I
just. They were called Tonfa, weren't they?
Yeah, they're Tonfas.
Yeah. So
either way, it just didn't feel good for him to get that. And unfortunately, he is like a main character, so that took me out of the movie, unfortunately, if that makes any sense. But that's just me, though.
Of course.
Yeah, in essence, I can understand that. Like, I think what they were going for was because of the fact that he wanted to protect his family. They gave him a defensive type of thing where he could take the force and bounce it back. But even still, it's hard to really understand it because this is a very original character. We're still learning about this character in general, and I felt storyline wise, I felt that this character Cole didn't feel introduced proper to the show or to this movie. I felt like they were trying to rush it, and of course with the movie only being, what was it, an hour and 50 minutes.
Yep.
I felt that they didn't have enough time to introduce Cole and get us invested into Cole and to see like what drives him. So
yeah.
But from there, and again, as we were talking about with the Natara sliced in half thing, he fights Goro, and in a very, in my opinion, gruesome moment, he not only cuts Goro's arm, he slices a deep gash into Goro's abdomen from his chest, and then stabs him straight through the eye, and then in a moment you see literally his guts start to pour out of the gash. Wow. If the storyline with Cole was the bad part, the gore and the violence, I think, is a highlight.
Yeah,
because they really did good.
For the gore, for just like the gore aspect of it, Mortal Kombat, like when it first released, like when it first came out, like you could do all these fatalities, like they wanted the gore. They wanted to be like, it's like they just wanted just to have like guts, blood, bones spewing out, and that's something they did like really well with the gore, because like they're just like Mortal Kombat games are very, very gory and very detailed with it, and that's something they did perfectly.
I was gonna say, from there we cut to a scene to where we go back to where Shang Tsung, Raiden, and all them are talking. Liu Kang is still fighting with Cabal. We see Cole be brought back by Raiden, and Shang Tsung's like, you did this on purpose. And there was Raiden, or at least how I interpreted, Raiden knew that if he sent Cole back to his family, where he knew that Cole would be attacked, which when I saw that he teleported him back, I'm like, wait, they're just gonna try and find him and kill him. But it was to get Cole his Arcana, and Cole comes back. Raiden tries to escape with everybody. When Cole's about to go away, Bihan freezes Cole a little bit. Bihan's about to hurt Cole, and Kung Lao stops him. Shang Tsung brings Kung Lao through, and then you see Liu Kang trying to go and save Kung Lao after he was able to get away from Cabal, with Shang Tsung taking the soul of Kung Lao. Cole stops Liu Kang before Liu Kang can do anything, and then they are teleported away after Kung Lao's soul has been taken. What did you guys think? I thought, honestly, like, with Kung Lao being such a fan favorite, it sucked to see his soul being taken right then and there. I was like, man, they could have done something else, but it had to be Kung Lao.
Yeah, because I remember correctly, in the first actual movie of the Mortal Kombat, I think where Liu Kang was like sleeping, and then he sees Shang Tsung straight talking to him and saying like, your soul's mine, and then he saw like Kung Lao pretty much like his soul was taken off of like to Shang Tsung. So that kind of reminds me of like that one. So that was actually pretty. It's sad to see, but that was actually a pretty cool like reference, honestly.
Yeah, because lore perspective again, it was Shao Kahn that actually ultimately kills Kung Lao.
Yeah.
Just for Liu Kang to have more of a character development, and so obviously they want to have they're wanting to push Liu Kang into having that character development. So they're like, oh, we gotta kill Kung Lao, so we'll just have Shang Tsung, kill Kung Lao in front of Liu Kang, so we can give him more of a drive or motivation to fight for Earthrealm and stop Outworld from trying to take over Earthrealm, stuff like that. So again, I see where they're trying to go. Like, I see where they're trying to go with it, and like I can understand. Like, they're like, oh, we really need to push this, like Liu Kang. And so again, it's not the greatest, but again, I can't necessarily complain too much.
Right. And then from there, they're all teleported into the void where Liu Kang is obviously in anguish about Kung Lao. Everyone is getting mad at Raiden, but Raiden's telling them like he can't interfere. But then he gives Cole Scorpion's blade that he used to try and kill Bihan with, and I thought that was a very cool little touch to detail. You see the blood on the blade itself, and then they hatch a plan. They're saying, "Look, if we can't face them all, together, why don't we split them up?" So Jax gets teleported to face Raiko one-on-one after Jax, again, as Kensei said earlier, or no. It was either Kinsey or I'm sorry, but Jax gets his arms back, in muscular fashion, and he faces off against Raiko. Sonya is teleported, and she gets to fight Kano. From there, we see that Liu Kang and Cole are going to go against Cabal and Melina, respectively. We then cut back. We'll kind of go through these, and then we'll talk about the fights. We see Jax basically beat the crap out of Raiko, and in one of his old fatalities, smash Raiko's head into an explosion. Then we see Sonya versus Kano, where she's playing kind of peekaboo with him, slicing at him, all that. Kano's trying to use his eye, but he can't actually hit her. She throws some sort of liquid at his eye. It was acetone?
Yeah.
All right. She throws acetone into his eye. He can't use his laser beam anymore. And Sonya basically stabs him through the eye. And from there, actually inherits a champion's marking for Earthrealm. So that's when we find out that she actually becomes one of the champions of Earthrealm.
Okay, well, quick question there. That implies that Kano's dead, right?
That's where I was saying before, is that I don't know. Because from what we know is that he gets the metal plating, and obviously with him being stabbed in the eye, I think that could play a part of it. I think that when it comes to, say them being defeated in like some sort of combat, that's where the actual marking comes through. Or they could in the future play it as like he gets reborn through Quan Chi in some way, shape, or form, and then they put the metal plate in. So that's why I was thinking it was either by death or by defeat in combat.
Yeah, I would assume more defeat, and then, or it could be death. But I think Shang Tsung didn't his one line say death is only like a portal, death is only a portal or something like that. That could be a way to reintroduce Kano down the line with the metal plate and stuff. Because I mean, the consensus here is he's the breakout or the shining moment of Mortal Kombat, the movie, right?
Yeah.
So then from there, we cut back to Liu Kang versus Cabal, and this scene was actually really cool when it comes to, Liu Kang hits him into what I think is obviously quicksand or a tar pit, and Cabal is wondering what's going on, and then Liu Kang does his fatality with the Flaming Dragon, and the Flaming Dragon engulfs Cabal, which I thought the animation was absolutely amazing on this. And then to a nod to the games, what was it that he said? Basically, fatality, and then he just falls over.
Fatality.
I thought that was
for Kung Lao. That was pretty neat, honestly. Pretty neat.
Yeah, it was a little nod, and I thought that was really funny. And then obviously we cut to Cole trying to beat Melina, and then we actually get to see Melina's whole mouth open up, and that was really, really cool. What did you guys think about the final full reveal of Melina?
Honestly, she should have already had her teeth already shown off. Like, honestly, I mean, I was like, why does she have like her actual little fangs or like all her teeth just shown off? But I guess they waited for this specific moment where she exposes all her teeth, and I was like, that's pretty cool. But I would rather just have like her teeth all revealed at once, because she's known to have that many teeth. You know, just like, to have her jaw just expand and having all like sharp fangs and everything is like, that's how I remember her. But it was pretty cool. I kind of liked it for sure.
It was okay. Like, it's just my one gripe about Melina. All right, I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. My one gripe about Melina is the fact of why do we put Melina in the movie but nowhere
No Katana.
is Katana
Yeah,
mentioned?
no Katana, yeah.
Because she is the clone of Katana, along with a I forgot what they're called, but Baraka's clan.
Yeah.
She is a mix of that. So
The
I'm just like,
Cartons,
okay.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the Takartans,
Yep.
where they're just like, why we show Melina but not Katana at all, or mention her at all. That's my only one gripe. But like, and showing the fangs, it's like going off what Kensei said, it's her big thing. Like when she was first revealed, she was shown with a veil over her mouth. So you think she's just a regular woman, but then when she takes it off, like for her fatalities, you realize, oh, she's not a normal person. She's actually like a monster. So it's just like, it kind of felt weird.
So this is where my first theory is gonna come in. Like, what we know from the lore is Shang Tsung made a clone of Katana, and that became Melina. What we also know is that he made multiple clones of Katana. So my theory is this: the reason why they didn't bring Katana in right away is that I think with the next movie they're gonna find Katana, they're gonna think it's Melina because they're supposed to look the same, and Katana's going to explain like, oh, that was my sister Melina, and they're like, well, where's your teeth? And then we're gonna see another Melina pop up, and they're gonna be like, we thought we killed you, and it's gonna lead into something along those lines with that, or it could be a small subplot for the next movie, or at least that's my theory on it. So, while Melina is trying to take a bite out of Cole, we see that transformation. Sonya Blade actually comes up. Cole throws her off of him, and then Melina is blasted in the stomach by Sonya's Arcana, which is these little ring blasts, and it goes through Melina's stomach in, grotesque fashion, and we see Melina's spine afterwards, which I thought was really crazy and very good detail, or at least in my opinion it was.
Yeah, but the one thing I just didn't like about that scene is, when they were speaking about Arcanas, they were talking about how it takes time. Like, you can't necessarily get it right away. Like Liu Kang didn't get his Arcana till a little bit later, till after he trained, and it was only after he got the markings in Kung Lao. So my question is, how did Sonya Blade in that time, from killing Kano to killing Melina, how in that short time frame she was able to get the Arcana? That's what I just did. That's what threw me off from the movie. I'm just like, so you're telling me that they have to train, they have to go through all this, like, mental training, physical training, blah, 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 to get their Arcana, and Sonya Blade just gets it like that. Like, I just didn't understand that.
Yeah, I didn't like the fact that off camera they gave her the Arcana, and then it was just like, it's endemic of like the issues of the second half of the movie that I have, which I'll explain in a little bit. But yeah, so I wasn't a fan of it. It felt too rushed. If at the very least there should have been another like 2-minute fight scene between Melina and Sonya, and Sonya is struggling, and then she gets her, like, she discovers her Arcana, which blasts through her. Like, maybe that would have been the good way to develop that. But yeah, was not a fan.
Right, it was definitely one of those ones where it was just plot convenience. Especially when we go into the next scene, where before, when they were talking about going one-on-one, they said after we fight everybody, we're gonna tag team Bihan. Well, that never ended up happening because Bihan visits Cole's wife and daughter, basically takes them hostage, and then he teleports back to where all the fighters are, and he holds up the bracelet that his daughter had made for herself and for her dad, and crushes it. Cole obviously gets frustrated, and when Beyond teleports away, Cole follows him in his teleporter alone, which he gets teleported into his gym where he used to, do his fights and such. And then it starts out a fight between Bihan and Cole. Bihan has Cole on the ropes, obviously, and then suddenly, he starts to feel the rage from the blade that he was holding when he tried to attack Bihan, and lo and behold, Hanzo Asashi appears, but he is no longer Hanzo Asashi, he is Scorpion. And we get a few nods, obviously, of stuff that was said before. When Hanzo told him, remember this face, he takes off the mask and you can see Hanzo Asashi. They are fighting. From there, basically, Bihan is getting destroyed in this sense, and then he gets thrown into the cage, where we have kind of a ancestor versus ancestry, or not versus, but ancestor and ancestry versus Bihan. And it's a double team against Bihan as Sub-Zero. They basically are about to kill him. Cole is basically told, stand back, this is my fight. And Hanzo says, you thought that hell would kill me, but you didn't expect me to learn how to control hell. And burns Bihan. I thought this was a very powerful scene in general, because we're used to Hanzo Asashi or Scorpion being controlled by Quan Chi from the Netherrealm, and he is a bad guy. This is a very different take on Scorpion. I didn't necessarily hate it. He kept his morals. He kept his honor, which is very different from the Scorpion that we kind of know of. So what did you guys think of this rendition of Scorpion after he had come back from basically the grave?
No, you could go ahead.
I was gonna say because I actually like this version of this Scorpion, because if you ever played Mortal Kombat XL 11, sorry, 11, not XL, but Grand Master Hasashi, he becomes like a really good person, and then he hates like the part of him being Scorpion, but like he still accepts himself as being Scorpion. So like I'm very familiar with it, so it's like I like this version of it, but I still there's a part of me that I do want a bad version of Scorpion, but like this is pretty cool. I do love this version of Grandmaster Hasashi / Scorpion, for sure.
Yeah, so like the only thing I didn't like about this is it's like Scorpion himself, Hanzo Hasashi, retaining his morals, retaining his honor. I like that, because like again, there's no Quan Chi involved, so it's like he can't necessarily be taken over, be riddled with hatred and stuff like that. So like he was able to retain that and stuff like that. The one thing I just didn't like about it is the fact of you give him they put him in this trailer. You're just like, oh, we're Scorpion fighting Sub-Zero. You'd think he's gonna be like a big part of the movie, but then we get the last 5 minutes of it, and it's just that one, we only get him for those first 8 minutes, and then the last 5 minutes of the movie. That's what I just didn't like about it, to be completely honest with you. The portrayal of Scorpion did fine. Just having him on screen, it just felt like they're just they hyped him up, and then throughout the whole entire movie, I'm just like, okay, when is Scorpion going to show up?
Yeah, exactly.
Last 5 minutes, got it. Cool. That didn't feel right with me.
Right. And it was definitely, it felt almost like with the original, or not original, but the remake of Godzilla, where they were making it seem like Bryan Cranston's character was going to play a major role, but he didn't really end up playing that big of a role. It almost felt exactly like that, I guess. So I can kind of see where you guys are coming from. But at the same time, they were trying to build up Cole. I'll be a little bit differently than what I would have liked for them to do. But it was mainly about Cole and his ancestry with the Shiraiyu instead of just a Scorpion. So
yeah,
but
the one thing I will say is this So going off on Cole, he is set he says himself he's an orphan from Chicago. So how did Raiden, who took the child in, the last descendant of the Shiraiyu, back in the 1600s, you would think like he would have them like he would have the descendants stay at the temple, train in the temple for generations, but no, I just didn't understand how descendant of the Shiraiyu just ended up being an orphan in like Chicago. That's what didn't feel right with me. Like
There's
didn't
no
make sense.
They lacked a lot of continuity. Like you said, Raiden took Hanzo's like last child from the 1600s, and all of a sudden the lineage goes all the way to some kid in Chicago. Like, what? That didn't make any sense to me either. Like, yeah, so there's a lot of continuity issues with this with like the second half and some of like the storylines here. But yeah, I have to agree with you there.
Yeah, and so again, going back on Raiden, the one thing, and then like you have Raiden, who is supposed to be all knowing, all like he is supposed to be sympathetic. He is supposed to be the god, the protector. He's supposed to look out for all these people, and they just make Raiden like be a completely total jerk.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah,
he was like he knows like it said in the prophecy like that Earthrealm will lose 9 tournaments, but on the 10th one they'll remain victorious. And you would think like Raiden would be like, oh, these other fighters have to work. All right, let's go, let's do this. No, he's just like, these are my fighters. Nah, they're all worthless. We're gonna lose. Like he disregards that prophecy. Like again, going with Nolar, like continuity and story, like for that second half, it felt like they took it and then they just threw it in the trash fire. Like, I just didn't understand that.
Right. It kind of looked more like, at least for me, it might have been more so that I saw that he was trying to kind of like motivate him and be like, you guys need to like, get your crap together, and you guys aren't my champions right now. We're gonna lose at this rate, and to kind of give them that motivation to be like, no, we're gonna save this. We're gonna save Earthrealm.
Yeah.
And that's basically what ends up happening with this little invasion. We see all of them together. They're all smiles. Raiden's very proud.
Yeah.
And then Shang Tsung enters, and we get into what Nolar was talking about, where even Shang Tsung's like, death is only a portal, and you see this ominous smoke engulf Bihan, and you see it engulf Goro, which is obviously kind of a foreshadowing, or at least I took it when it was over Bihan, where I think in the next movie they're gonna get new Saibot, which that was super cool. And I was like, oh, I like that.
If I remember correctly, isn't that like I don't know, because maybe in the next movie I do think we're gonna get Quan Chi in the next movie. So I do think that could be Quan Chi's magic. Just picking like the dead fighters, and then probably in the future they're going like make him like come back again as zombies, or in Mortal Kombat 11 X, they should call them revenants. So yeah. I do think they're gonna be coming back as that, and that's where Bihan it's become a new Saibot, and we're definitely gonna get a brand new Sub-Zero, where I do think the new Sub-Zero is gonna be a good version of the from Bihan. So pretty much, I can definitely see like the future already, where it's gonna be new Saibot versus Sub-Zero. So that's gonna be really interesting to see for sure.
Yeah, if Noob Saibot is in the next movie, then it's going to be Bihan's little brother Kuai Liang to take over the mantle of Sub-Zero. And then from there, we have the banter between Raiden and Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung's about to say one last thing, and Raiden just kind of says, nah, and shocks him and teleports him away. And then we go to basically the final scene where Cole is in his gym again, and the director of the fighting ring for the MMA gym comes up to him and says, hey, I need you this Tuesday for another fight. And Cole's like, no, I'm not going to do any more fighting. I'm going to go to Hollywood. And this is kind of a little teaser. He walks, and then you see this poster of Johnny Cage's latest movie. And I thought that was sick because, again, it's so many teasers on characters that are going to possibly show up in the next movie. And then that basically ends it right there from the movie. And honestly, like, without, going into the lore of the previous stuff. I thought if you take the lore from original stuff out, this movie was a very good movie, at least for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it, especially when I went into it thinking blood and guts, violence, more so than I thought was originally going to be in it. But what did you guys think overall about the movie when it came to everything?
Me personally, I thought it was gonna be like similar to the actual lore, but this is pretty. It's just like different. It kind of reminds me like they're trying to target a different kind of audience, because I think they're trying to go away from like the people that who actually know the actual the lore. So to me it kind of feels like Mortal Kombat, but at the same time it does not actually feel like Mortal Kombat at all.
Yeah. For
Yeah,
me,
Go for it.
Yeah. For me, knowing lore, like if I just throw lore to the side, I'd say it's a decent movie. But like again, being lore heavy, I personally, I couldn't necessarily get into it even after watching it 3 times. But it's just it has its moments. It has its quirky things. I can see from from a person who doesn't know the lore, who doesn't play the games, I can see it is a fairly enjoyable movie. I will give it that. But again, for like if you know a little bit of it, I feel like for a Mortal Kombat fan, it necessarily just won't stick to you.
Exactly.
So if you go for this, like if you even know just a little bit of the lore, you're gonna be very disappointed. You're just gonna be like, I just can't follow it. But again, from a person who doesn't understand it, I can see why they'll enjoy this movie, and I know they'll be like, okay, I like the fights, I like this, the gore, the banter, all this other stuff. So again, throwing lore to the side, it is an enjoyable movie, but other than that, I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, see, that's where. Oh, you go ahead, Nolan. You go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, like, I don't know a lot of the lore. I know some of it, but not a lot. Even from just like a movie perspective, it was decent. Like I think everyone's saying it's an enjoyable time. I think everyone could agree with that. However, I don't think it was a good movie. Just like some of the writing, some of the decisions. Like I am not a fan of Cole. Like he just didn't work for me. Whatever the studio wanted to do with it, or the writers, whoever was in charge of that, it just didn't hit home. So I wouldn't be upset if we didn't have him next movie if he didn't show up, but they just completely wrote him off, or he died, or something else. Like it wouldn't change anything to me. So, anyways, that's my 2 last cents on that.
Can I say something really quick? I know I've been like.
No, I was actually gonna ask Iron King. What about you?
Okay, cool. Yeah. For me, like, what you guys were mentioning before, like with the plot, there's like some things I'm like, oh, that doesn't really make any sense. But then like Kane will say a curse word and I'll laugh and I'll forget about it. And then like there'll be another thing with the plot, and then like someone's heart will get ripped out and I'll forget about it. So like I have like a very caveman mind with this movie, so it entertained me and kept me going along. But I feel like if someone's like really paying attention to the minute like details, like they'll be like, oh, like that doesn't make any sense. But as someone that knows some of the lore, not crazy amounts, like I played like a couple of the games, I thought it was enjoyable, entertaining for sure. Would I rewatch it? I mean, I don't really watch the movies in general, but maybe with a couple drinks or something like that. But I don't think I would like damn man, guys, let's all get out of the house and watch Mortal Kombat again. Like maybe just like skip over to the fight scenes, but watch the whole movie, that's up for debate.
Yeah, definitely. And just I guess for my 2 cents, just before we wrap up here, I'm kind of on the opposite side for when it comes to, I know a lot about the lore as well. I've been playing these games since I was a child, been loving everything about it. This is definitely one of those ones where it's like, I think it's going to be a split down the middle for a lot of people. It's going to be kind of like an alternate reality type of thing. I will agree that there was a lot of stuff that I think the storyline could flesh out for the next movie. And I'm definitely sure that there's going to be a next movie at this point, because this thing has been so hyped up that, and with all the, teasers, it's a no-brainer. They're going to do another. But I definitely want to say thank you to the lovely people with me today. Thank you, Nolar, Kensei, and Iron Cane for joining me on this. Guys, if you liked what we talked about, or if you've seen the Mortal Kombat movie, leave a comment down below. Tell us what you expect from the next movie, because honestly, I want to hear everybody's theories. I want to know as much as what you guys want to see in the next movie. But for now, this is Tystra with Nolar. Kensei is an Iron Cane saying thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, we will catch you guys in the next video. Take care.